Hey y'all, it's Andrea over at Sewspire.com and I am here with recipe 10. In the last segment, we assembled the exterior of my beautiful life caddy slash tote. It's looking like to me because it's pretty big. Really excited to put contents in these clear pockets. So we're gonna start with the interior now. As such, because this is a continuation in the same day, there will not be a look through the design book at the end of this video. And I'm actually seriously considering moving the look through the design book to my Friday vlog behind the seams with Andrea. So I'm almost positive that's what I'm going to start doing. So if you tune in this Friday, then you can get a bonus look through the design book. All right, just refining how we're doing things here. So we're moving on to the interior, and the design book is getting some weight in it. Cool, right? Just as I imagined. I wanted it to be nice and full. Okay, so for the interior, we have the 4 panels, which are going to comprise that quad compartment. Then we have the single divider, we have a base, and the 2 side panels and the 2 body panels. Because that exterior is so thick and stable, I'm not using any interfacing on this interior. So we're going to begin with one of the interior body panels. Okay, and position that on your work surface. And now what we're going to need to do is finish the edges of this divider. And so I'm just going to stitch around 3 sides of this, and then the open edge I'll use to turn it right side out and fold those edges inward, and then I'll finish those edges. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch up 3 sides. And then for this, I am going to clip those corners so that I can poke those out and hopefully get a nice finished edge there. I have a little turning tool that works good for poking out those corners. And this wax canvas is so lovely to sew with. I will put a link down in the notes for you to my preferred wax canvas source. I really enjoy working with the wax canvas. So just poke out those corners. And then the one thing about the wax canvas is you cannot iron it because the wax will melt. So you really do have to just work with your fingers and poke out the corners. And it generally, it smooths pretty nice. So you take those open edges and turn those inward just about a 1/4 inch, whatever it takes for you to get it nice and even. And then go ahead and stitch that opening closed. So this is the divider panel. Now I need to install the cross quad panel. So for that, I have the 4 pieces of sushi fabric. And for these, I need to do the same thing and sew around 3 edges. For mine, I think I'm going to leave the tops open. So I'll stitch the sides and the base. I'm going to leave the top open to turn, press, and fold that edge inward. So I want to create 2 finished panels by positioning that fabric right sides facing and stitching around 3 sides. Okay, so I've turned those right sides out and I've folded that top edge inward just about a ½ inch and pressed. And now I'm just going to stitch across there to close that up. On the second one, I want to cut a like-sized piece of the foam and insert that in this pocket, and that's because that is where I'm going to stow the iPad. I'm just going to lay the remnant that I have down on top of there, and it doesn't have to be a perfect fit. I just want to get a little additional padding in there, so I'm going to go ahead and insert that foam right inside of there. It does grip the fabric, and when we stitch down the center of this, it will be secured in place. So now I'm just going to close up that top opening. Now I want to take the foam panel and the fabric panel and position those right on top of each other and stitch right down the center. So finish, these are 9 inches wide. So at the 4½ inch mark, I'm going to stitch right down the center. And then that's what your panel should look like. So it kind of has like the little wings there. Okay, now we want to lay this quad panel on that body panel so that the base of the quad panel is 2 inches up from the bottom and approximately 2½ inches up from the top. And you're going to fold back that top layer of that quad panel, and for me the padded layer is against the body panel, and you're just going to pin that in place. And then you need to bring over your side panel and lay that on top of that one corner of that quad panel. And I'm gonna go ahead and pin all 3 layers together. So right in this right hand side seam, you have your body panel, 1 layer of the quad panel, and the side panel. And I'm going to stitch that in place using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, so now just that one interior corner is sandwiched in between that side seam, like that. And now I'm going to fold back both of the top layers and pinch this up just slightly there. Okay, so from that side seam, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 inches over. Yep, 7 inches from the side seam. So it just kind of sits up like that. I'm going to pin that in place so it's a little hump there. And I'm going to lay this divider on top of that, and then reusing those pins underneath. And actually I want that seam towards the top. So reusing those pins underneath, I'm going to pin all the way through that. Okay, so that's what the concoction looks like so far. Now I need to stitch through the wax canvas divider, the sushi fabric, and the body panel. Now here's what it looks like. I have one side of the divided wax canvas panel attached, and that front padded pocket of the quad is attached. So now I need to bring up this divider and align it with the top of that wax canvas pocket. And then this one gets aligned with the side seam. Like that. Okay, now I'm going to set this little origami creation aside for a moment, and working with the second interior panel and the base, which is also wax canvas, I'm going to just attach the base to the bottom of this by lining up those bottom edges and stitching 5/8 of an inch across. Okay, now bringing back my little origami. So here's the side. Now I want to take the panel with the base and lay that right on top of that, and then aligning that top edge first. Then I'm just bumping down. I'm going to use that pin that's already inside of there to line everything up. So here I have the back body panel, the sushi quad divider, and the front body panel sandwiched nicely in there. And I'm going to go ahead and stitch from the top of that to that base seam. Okay, so the interior side pocket has been formed. I need to go ahead and attach this other side to this. So I'm going to just lay that on there, and that's all that's going in that side seam. So I can go ahead and stitch using the 5/8 of an inch. All right, so now looking at this, I have the interior side pocket. I have the side panel attached over here. So I am officially calling this origami method. All right, now I want to lay that top panel on there, and I just want to see where that side panel is gonna fall. So I'm gonna go ahead and align the side first. I will be unpinning this to attach that divider, but I need to have a good idea how much extra fabric I have there. So I'm just gotta kind of eyeball it and get a pin in there to hold it to start. And then I can unpin the side panel so I can actually work with this and turn that right side over. So if you're working from your open edge, which would be the easiest to see, you're going to position the open edge of that 5 inches. Actually, it's about 4.5 inches from that edge. So I'm just going to take out the pins that I have going on from the underside so I don't accidentally stitch through that, and then about 4.5 inches from that edge, I'm going to go ahead and stitch that divider panel onto that body panel. Okay, so now when you look in there, you can see that quad has taken shape. So I have the padded pocket here, the wider slip pocket there, and then 2 narrow pockets. One is against the divider and one is against the side panel. And now what I need to do is attach that side. So I'm just going to line it up at the top and then stitch from the top just to that side seam using 5/8 of an inch. Now it's a little different than we normally do because we had to get everything stitched on the inside. We're just going to close up the bottom of that hatch by aligning the base and centering that between those seams. And for this, you might want to use a couple clips or pins just to hold that. And I'm going to run a row of stitching seam to seam. And now we're back somewhere that's a little more familiar for you. All you have to do is close up the holes in the sides there, and you just do that by aligning the side of the base with the base of the side and stitching seam to seam. Came together, how cool. All right, so now what you want to do is take that top edge of this and fold it over about 1/2 inch, and you can press that or you can pin it, whatever works best for you. So fun, look at that. Clever, clever, right? I love it. All right, so now I need to bring back over my awesome exterior, which I took that top edge and folded it over about 3/4 of an inch, and I went ahead and pinned that as opposed to pressing because the foam is so thick. And now I'm going to fit that interior inside of there, and I want a little bit of that pink to pop up over that top edge. So I begin on the sides, and I'll show you when I turn it around. I want to see a little bit of that lining come up over that top edge. And I just line up those side seams first and pin that in place, and then I move around to the front and the back and adjust as needed. Cool, I'm so excited. The next step in this process would be to attach the handles. At first I had showed you some navy webbing, but when I was at Joann's this week, I found this kind of cornflower blue that is spot on, a perfect match. So I am switching to that. Now, when I look at this, the size of this, remember this is the first time I've ever made this bag. We designed on the fly, modified on the fly. When I'm looking at the size and shape of this, I totally feel like this is a messenger bag now with absolute certainty. So this is what happens when you design, is you have to leave room for that inspiration that I speak of, right? For that creative genius to swoop in and hijack your project. That's the fun of it. If I was super rigid right now, I could attach these handles and I will have significantly diminished the functionality of this piece, because by taking the time now and designing the flap, I am going to have a killer messenger bag. And what I see happening is the flap tucks into this back pocket to close, and/or I could easily install snaps on this vinyl too for that to close. So I gotta roll with it. So we're gonna go into week 3 with this project. Sorry to disappoint. You could see easily how you could finish it if you just attach the handles now, but I gotta keep going, y'all. So remember, the look through the design book is happening now on Fridays over at Sewspire.com. I'm publishing an unpublished video vlog with the look through the design book, okay? In addition to whatever written content I feel inspired to post then. So make sure you head on over to Sewspire.com on Fridays after 12 p.m. Eastern time. And then I will see you Tuesday to put the flap and the strap on this gorgeous bag. Until then, as always, please know the creative genius in me will be celebrating the creative genius in you. Have a gorgeous week, everyone.